Welcome back. In the previous video, we've seen how we added Postgres to our Kubernetes cluster and how we can connect to it using port forward if you really want to. And there's one thing I haven't shown you although, and I just want to add to that. As I told you, we have our Postgres credentials in here, and I basically told you want to have that credentials file separate from your deployment YAML, so you don't expose your credentials to, well, via GitHub or whatever repository. Obviously, this also means don't add that credentials.yaml to your Git repository. So I've not added it yet. You see it's still red in here, and if you do git status, it will also tell me it's not added at all. But what I want to do to make sure I've never accidentally added, I want to add my deploy Postgres credentials.yaml to my git ignore. There we go. It's now kind of grayish. What we can do is we can like add Postgres credentials.example.yaml. And we can just use like this, use echo -n your username base64 empty. So this way I just want to make sure that you don't accidentally commit like your credentials. So with that being said, I'm just gonna double check. This looks good. We're gonna add this to our Git repository. Added Postgres deployment to, yeah, that's fine. Cool. Again, link to the repo is in the video description down below. So let's do what we actually wanted to do in this video. We wanted to go and create a Python deployment. So what do we need for the Python deployment? Let's get our need image back up. We will need 2 pods. We will need a Celery deployment. We do that later. We also need RabbitMQ. We'll skip that step for now. I hope we can actually bring the server up, the Django server up without RabbitMQ, just so you get a feeling what's happening in the beginning. And we need a Postgres deployment. So Postgres is already there. We can connect to Postgres. That should also work within the Django app. And yeah, let's give that a try. I'm also gonna kill pgadmin for now. Alrighty, so we need a Python deployment. So what we have seen before is like we have that structure. I think in the Python case, we don't need more than one YAML file. Actually, we will need more than one YAML file. We will need the Python YAML, and I also want to add like the Python, let's call it ingress.yaml. Ingress is a term that's often used in Kubernetes to refer to a load balancer or load balancer-like structure. It's not technically an ingress that we're gonna create there, but yeah, that's beyond the video. So for now, we're gonna create our python.yaml, and I have a nice template for that, which I'm gonna steal from. So essentially, if you look in our Postgres YAML, we have like our name, we're trying to match that name, etc., etc. We're gonna have to do the same in our Python YAML. I have a template, not a template exactly. I have a program called temporary that I'm gonna use, and I'm gonna rename this to tickets. And I think you don't need this with tier. This is just like something I tried out. You don't need that. All right, so next thing we need is the spec. The spec will tell us like replicas equals to 1. We can actually use 2 because we want to have 2. Actually, let's start with 1. I want to show you how to scale it up later. And we need to tell them, actually don't need to tell them, I think. No, it should be fine. Replicas is 1. We need a template. And the template now has like a spec. Let's double check with Postgres. Oh, actually, I need a selector. I need to do the match label thing like I did it here. Honestly, I don't like all that let's call it garbage that you need to write for Kubernetes, but you write that once and it works. All right, now we need the spec. The spec basically says we have containers and we only have one container. It's gonna be called tickets. That container is coming from an image. Well, image, we don't have one yet. So we're gonna say the image is called, it's my name, tickets, and it's gonna be version 1.0. I have to provide that image somehow later. We'll take a look at that. And because we don't have it uploaded yet, we'll also find out that we need image pull policy set to always. So it's always pulling the image down from Docker Hub for now until we have it set up properly. All right. Our image is exposing a port, which is a container port. And I think it's 8000. We can double check in our Docker Compose YAML. Yeah, we usually run it on port 8000, and I think in the prod YAML as well. Yeah, will be port 8000. That's fine. Cool. Python YAML. There we go. Then we need environment variables, and this is now where we can use like the trick that we did before with environment from or secret from, with database user and database password and database name. Actually, you can just open the Postgres YAML and scroll down to your environment and copy paste the 3 variables here into our Python YAML. There we go. There's just one thing that you should keep in mind. This is not the configuration name, the variable name that we need for our Django deployment. So if you take a look, what we did here is, before, we added a new environment variable called database URL, and it has all the credentials in it. And we can do the very same now. We can go into our python.yaml. I'm gonna actually close all the others now. And we can say here, we want database URL, and the value to that is Postgres, and we want to use the Postgres user. We want to use the Postgres password, and we connect at the database host. The database host is actually Postgres. That's referred to our deployment and to that name basically of the service. We're actually connecting to the service, not to the pod. We're connecting to the service, so that's Postgres. And it's gonna be port 5432. You can have that in variables as well if you really want to, but it's not necessary. Last but not least, we want the database name. The database name is gonna be called PostgresDB, and that should be it in my opinion. Hope I haven't got a syntax error, but okay. All right, the next thing we want to specify is the Django settings module, because we have like multiple settings module. We have got dev, we've got production, and we've got base. And in this case, we want to have tickets.settings. I think it's called prod. Let's double check. Tickets, settings, prod, py. Yep. All right. And what we also need is a secret key. However, you see again the secret key. Why would you put the secret key in your deployment YAML and commit that to GitHub? That's like, yeah, exactly what we don't want. So that one we will change. We will actually create a Python. Actually, let's create a, yeah, it's okay. Python Django secret key.yaml. We don't want this in our Git repo. We're gonna copy the Postgres credentials, and it's gonna be like this: secret key. This is our Django secret key, and the app is tickets. And we're gonna do base 64. Echo -n. My secret key. Do not copy it. base 64. We don't need to decode it. And this is, come on, this is our secret key in our Python Django secret key. There we go. And we're gonna use that as a secret key ref again. So we're gonna say value from secret key ref. Name is Django secret key. The key is called secret key, I think. Yeah, no, secret underscore key. So there we go. And now we have our secret key. Cool. So this should be enough. This should expose our, or this should bring up our service, our Python service in this case. So let's actually go into deploy Python kubectl apply -f Python Django secret key YAML. All right. And we also want to apply our Python YAML created. So let's do a kubectl get bots. You see it's creating a tickets container now. Although there's gonna be a huge issue with that because that image is definitely not available. It will probably end up with image pull error. There we go. It will try to pull the image again and again now. So how do we overcome that problem? Well, it's actually not that bad. We already have that image. It's just in our Docker Compose YAML and it doesn't have a name right now. So we need to give it a name, to be honest. I think, is it called... Is it called just name? No. All right, doesn't matter. What we can do is we can use docker build. We're gonna build docker dev python, and we're gonna tag this image as, let me double check what my name is on Docker Hub. My name on Docker Hub is C. Kreuzberger. And we're gonna give it the name that we want here. The name is, so now I'm scrolling too fast. There we go. The name is gonna be tickets, and it's gonna be 1.0. I'm in the wrong directory. I need to go back into the main directory of my repository. So, all right, we're building Docker Dev Python, and it says it's not able to pull the entry point script. I think I need to say docker build dot -f docker file. That looks better. So I have to specify that we're using dot, so our current working directory is the build context, and we're building this Docker file, and we're tagging it as C. Kreuzberger tickets 1.0. So it's building it right now. In the meantime, if we continue to look at kubectl get pods, it's telling us it's in the image pullback of error. So yeah, it's definitely not able to pull the image. Anyway, the Docker build got through. We got our image here, and we're gonna do a docker push C. Kreuzberger tickets 1.0. If you just want to copy what I'm doing here, basically just use that as an image name. You can use that image, it should work. If you want to build your own image, what you need to do is you need to go to dockerhub.com or hub.docker.com and register. Access to resources denied. Let me double check that. Actually, I'm not logged in this browser. All right, so here's another browser window of mine. I am logged in, and I'm not seeing the image, although I should be logged in, to be honest. If not, I can verify using Docker login. Ah, it says login succeeded. Maybe my session expired or something. No. Do I need to create a new repository? Damn it. Let me figure that out off camera. I'll be back in a second. Alright, I'm back and I solved the issues basically using docker login -u and my username. For some reason I was logged in as another user, or maybe I had a service account or whatever linked to it. I'm not sure what happened there, or maybe the session expired. I'm really not sure what happened, but the docker login -u, that basically solved it. And it's now uploading the image to Docker Hub. And I can probably take a look at Docker Hub now. Let's see until this finishes. There we go. It should see the image here now, any second. Here it is, cool. And if we look into the kubectl, it's still into the image pullback of error. That's fine. We'll need to fix that in a second. The easiest way is to just delete the pod, not the deployment, but the pod, because it will spawn a new pod, because the deployment sees, oh, replica count is 0, and that's bad. So if you do get pods now, you see there's a new pod coming up with a different ID. And it's creating, and we're gonna do watch -n1, and we're gonna see if that pod comes up, because it should. And once it is up, I hope it does work. This is now probably praying. I'm praying to the demo gods that this works. But if this works, what we need to do is we need to run migrate and create super user. Come on, please. Pretty please. Well, if this works, it runs into an error. Okay, then time for live troubleshooting. You run into an error when getting the pod up. So you copy the ticket, the pod name, and you say kubectl logs and the name of the pod. All right. So essentially it tells us that something is wrong with our Docker image. All right, that's fine. It's not a huge deal. We can fix that. We have a Docker built. And instead of building the dev Python Docker file, we're gonna build the prod Python Docker file. That's fine because the dev file has the entry point script. We don't need that entry point script for our production setup. Anyway, once this is built, we're gonna push it. And in the meantime, yeah, what you are seeing now is you're seeing this is being restarted all the time. Because it's trying over and over to start this container. So this is really important to know. Kubernetes will back off, but it will try to restart the container over and over again. Now it's in the back off because it sees as a crash loop. If we watch this now, watch -n. You will see that it is restarting the container again in a second or maybe 10 seconds or whatever. It's backing off over time, so you don't have like a loop running forever. So 4 and it's crashing again, but that's fine. I'm still building the image on a second screen. It takes a little while, unfortunately, Not sure if my internet connection is slow right now. What's the problem? But yeah. So what we should see once this has finished on my other screen is that the container gets up, or if you just want to force it to get up, you delete the pod. And I'm gonna pause the recording for a second until this is done. All right, building has done. I'm pushing this thing now. It has the same idea. That's fine. That's fine, and it just will push. And it's again very slow. I don't know why, but once this is pushed, I will delete this container. This pod, sorry, a pod has multiple containers. All right, it's pushed. I'm deleting this one. Be faster, Kubernetes, be faster. And it should bring up the new pod now. There we go, it has a new pod. It's in a creating state. In the meantime, we can take a look at Docker Hub. It should tell us, yep, we've last updated this tag a few seconds ago. I think it's gonna take a minute again until this container has been created with all the things in the background. Yeah, Kubernetes is not really the fastest thing to use sometimes. It takes a lot of resources, but if you have a really good cluster set up with a lot of virtual CPUs and memory and fast disk space, it is gonna be way faster, obviously. But we're limited to the computer I'm working on right now, which is decent. But I'm recording a video right now. I'm using Minikube. I have a IDE running, etc. So that all takes resources. If you want to do it all locally, just be prepared that it takes a little bit more time than if you would do it over the network. That's damn long in that state. Let me double check the logs for that container. It's waiting to start. It's also quite possible that it's pulling the images from Docker Hub now, which again is not the fastest. I don't know, maybe Docker Hub is being attacked or the network connection is affected or something. So yeah, that's also something you also always should take into account, to have your own Docker registry somewhere, or use a paid registry that you can rely on. Docker Hub is fine, you can rely on that for your private projects. As soon as you go into the business area, although you should use like Google or Amazon registries. Anyway, it says it's running now. Let's take a look at the logs. Right, it's giving me a warning that it can't read the .env. It's not existing, but I think that's fine as long as the container is running. So this is running. This is the name. What we can do now is we can investigate a little bit into that container. You can say exec -it, and we want to start a bash. This is basically same as SSHing into your container. That's quite nice. So you can now see there's our container, there's our manage py, our requirements, our tickets. We can probably just call manage py check. I will check something for us. We could also just call migrate in here, but you shouldn't do that, to be honest. But we can use like the shell, Python manage py shell, and we can like do from Django .conf import settings, and we can do like print settings.databases. And I think something went wrong, because this is not our correct Postgres database name and Postgres username. I need to double check on that. But that's also nice. So this is like a debugging thing you can do. You can open a shell and go in here. The better thing to do, although, is with the Kubernetes way to do it, is not to say kubectl exec, but to say, and let me double check, I need to steal that from my tutorial. Actually, it's fine with exec. But you well, you can always spawn a bash, but don't do that, to be honest. You should do Python manage py migrate here. This is basically the same as docker compose run minus, not the same, actually the same as docker compose exec, to be honest. But this basically executes Python manage py migrate in the container, which will fail because we can't connect to a database. All right. As the video is getting quite long and I need to do some troubleshooting what's going on right there, I'll get back to you in the next video, and we'll fix that error, and we will actually connect to a database with our Python server, and we'll also expose the Python server via a load balancer. So stay tuned until next time. See you soon.